Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to do has to do with home automation. I use a Vera controller to control the environment here in the house. It's a Vera secure device, and across the whole back of our home we have roller shades, and the roller shades are all controlled through the Vera system, as well as through an integration to our Alexa device, so we can control the shades just through voice command as well. So a lot of the times though, when I go to home automation forums, the big thing is when you're trying to find information on how to do blinds or shades, there's not a whole lot of info out there. I mean, I did a lot of research trying to find the right solutions, and ultimately when I got down to it, when we bought the home and we had the blind vendor come out, we talked to him and I said, I want roller shades that work Z-Wave. That's all I could tell him, because our controller is Z-Wave. So he's like, oh yeah, we have Somfy, S-O-M-F-Y, Somfy motors that work with Z-Wave. And he goes, we can get those. So we ordered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 roller shades across the back of the house. They came out and did all the installs physically, but they did not know how to set it up technically. They'd never set it up before. So it came with a box. I'll show you that here in a minute on the website from Somfy. But it was not wasn't easy to set up. I mean, it took a while. My main concern is if it ever goes down, or one time we did have to replace one of the shades because it was problematic, and that got a new motor, and that new motor is not programmed into the system. And a year and a half after having my system going, how do I put this back into the system? So it was a little bit troublesome, but now that I look back on it, I mean, I have documentation that I put together. I've actually got a video that I keep that shows how to program the ZRTSI controller. So let me switch over to my browser so we can kind of demonstrate some of this. So the interface you're seeing right now, this is just Vera Home Controller login. I'm going to go ahead and click Connect, and this will log us into the Vera Home Controller. The dashboard contains the items that you use most frequently. Office cabinet was opened about 3 days ago. It's the alert that it's showing, so that's kind of cool. Different modes if you're home, away, night, or vacationing. And then anything that you favorite typically goes on the dashboard. So I don't have a whole lot of items here on the favorites. All of my Christmas items currently show they cannot connect to the device because all of these control devices obviously it's February 16th, so everything Christmas-wise has been packed up and put away. And I just leave it in this state till next year. So when I start plugging in controllers next year, they'll start recommunicating with the Vera controller and start, showing up again. But to see the shades that I've got configured, that's under devices. So when I go to devices, I'll sort by type. You can see I'll just kind of go through some of the stuff that we have. Alarm sirens, there's a great room siren, there's a siren strobe that we've got, and then the Vera Secure is actually the Vera controller itself. Dimmable light plugs that we have. We name our lamps kind of correlates to their style. So we have a lamp that we call Farmhouse. It's currently on at 50%. Master bedroom, we've got a light that's currently off. Door lock is currently locked. Door and window sensors. It's kind of neat too with the Vera controller. You can see the battery status of the wireless sensors. So at 20%, I'll get an email or text notification that I need to replace some batteries in these sensors. But we have them on all the doors. Humidity, this is through WWN works with Nest. So this integrates through the Nest thermostat that we have. We have another lamp that has chicken wire on it, so we call it the chicken coop. Fabaro, we've got a sensor, light sensor 3-in-1. So the Fabaro sensor will show you the brightness, the lux, what's the light intensity in the room that you're in, the motion sensors. We've got a great room motion, again, some switches, but let's get down to the purpose of this video. So these are the window coverings. So these are all the shades that I had to integrate into the system. So each one is named great room shade left. Actually, let me do this. Let me do it by room so you can see them in their rooms. So when I sort by room now, you can see in the great room, that's where I actually have the ZRTSI main node, which is the box that plugs into the wall. So what a ZRTSI is, the Somfy motors that are inside the roller shades, they're an RTS interface. That's what controls them. So these little remote controls, they send an RTS signal. That shade's opening right now. So this sends an RTS signal to that motor. So what the ZRTSI is just Z-Wave to RTS interface. So this is the box. What it does is it converts Z-Wave signals to RTS interface signals. So when you first set it up, you have to set up the main node, which is the device that plugs into the wall. You include it into your Vera controller like you would include any other device, locks, lights, thermostats. That's actually pretty straightforward. Once it's then included into the your home controller interface, then you have to create virtual nodes on the controller. So there's a lot of stuff that you're doing at the controller device itself when it's plugged into the wall. So that's a little awkward too, because you're kind of like laying on the ground, pressing buttons to do things. So you do an inclusion for your main node, for the ZRTSI main node, but then it's a process of doing an inclusion for each virtual node. So I'll bring up another document that I have here. It's just a text document. So these are my virtual nodes. So the Somfy motorized shades virtual node 1 is actually this one here in my office. This is where I started. So its RTS position is 0, 1 on the device when you're programming it. So once you program it, then you go to the next one. You go inside the LCD or whatever little displays on the ZRTSI module, you scroll through the options, go to add or include another node. You choose node 2. You choose node 2, but at that point, when it's in that, when the ZRTSI module's in that inclusion mode, when you've told it, okay, I'm going to include node 2 for the kitchen right shade, once you've done that, it's waiting for a signal. So then all you really do is with the controller, you set the RTS signal to that shade that you want to control, and you make it go up. And when you do that, the RTS or the ZRTSI module detected right then during that inclusion process what you were doing, which signal happened to take place at that time, and when you do that, it then adds it to the Vera Home Controller. So, but at the same time, it's kind of, that's why I said this was complicated when I put it together. So you do an inclusion on your Vera controller. So you're in your home controller software. You're doing the inclusion. It's waiting for a device to connect to your Vera controller. At that time, you've got about 60 seconds to program in that inclusion. So while the Vera home controller is waiting for an inclusion, you go to the ZRTSI module, you go to the options to add another virtual node, you tell it to go ahead and add, you do that signal thing, and as soon as you do that, that module, the ZRTSI module, then sends that inclusion to your Vera controller. So then all of a sudden you come back here, and you can see that the great room shade right was added, the left was added. So the process, though, again, it's tedious because you have to lay down, you have to go to your Vera controller, go to the inclusion part of adding something to the controller, get it into inclusion mode, and then hustle over to the ZRTSI module that's plugged into the wall, go to the virtual node you want to add, select it, make sure your remote is set, send a signal to it, bump, bump. You know, it's a little bit of a process, but it then includes that shade into your Vera controller. So our master bedroom, we've got 3 shades in there. I've got 1 shade here in my office. Our kitchen has 3 roller shades, and then our great room has 2 roller shades. So I've had this set up now for, I'm going to say, going on a little over 2 years. November was 2 years. So, and it's been pretty much problem free, no issues. And what surprised me is these Somfy motors, they're battery powered. They have little solar panels that you can get with little rechargeable battery packs. I just opted to use the AA batteries. So each Somfy motor has a tube about this long that takes 8 AA batteries to power these motors. But we've just recently, after 2 years, have noticed some of the shades are slowing down, and I've actually had to replace some of the batteries in some of the shades because they just stopped working. So just replace the batteries and we're back in business. So pretty straightforward. Again, for me, I document everything that I did, and so here's the Somfy motorized shades that I have, so I know which virtual node they're on. So, and then I had to go back to this video. So if a Somfy motor needs to be replaced, then you have to go back in and reprogram. You don't do anything in Vera in your home controller. That you don't have to touch any of that. It's all a process of just re-synchronizing the ZRTSI module with that new shade that you got. So there's the link to the video here. I'll provide a link to it in the description below so you can actually click on it and watch it. I think this video, I don't want to play it on my video, but I do believe this video is very informative in getting your shades configured into your system. So, and it has to be, these are Somfy motorized shades with a ZRTSI module controller. So if you have different shade motors, if it's a Hunter Douglas or if it's something else, then obviously they're going to have different inclusion processes and how to get all of that into your system. If you're using a different home controller for your Zwave technology, if it's not a Vera controller, you know, it's something else, a Wink device or, you know, whatever else is out there, it's going to be similar, but not, you know, what we just discussed here in regards to adding those roller shades to your system. So one thing, you know, switch back over so you can see it here. So there's that YouTube link. One thing that we also did then is set up these devices into scenes. So if you go to the scenes, there's scenes here for great room shades closed, great room shades open, all shades closed, all shades open, kitchen shades open and closed, master bedroom shades open and closed, and then office shades open and closed. And those are manual calls to the Vera controller. This I've set up here in my office because I prefer my roller shade here to open on sunrise, which it does every morning, and then the shade will close on sunset. So that's what that scene does there. Once you have your scenes set up and your devices set up, you can actually implement that into your Amazon Alexa device. So I'm going to log out of this here so I can get back to the login page without logging into the controller. There's a thing here for manage Alexa. So when we go into manage Alexa, it says select the devices that Alexa will have access to. So I don't normally, because we don't typically control one device at a time, so I'm not going to include this to be controlled inside of Alexa as a one shade. You know, we do the groups. So lights and dimmers, and then you can see down here all shades closed, all shades open. From these scenes, they are set so we can say, you know, great room shades open, great room shades closed. Oh, I didn't want to click that. Same thing with master shades. I don't do anything with my office because that's automatic in a scene. That just does its thing. So one other thing we do, if I go back to my controller, connect into the controller, in our scenes, so under my scenes, I've got one scene for evening. Doesn't happen on evening. Evening turns lights on, locks doors, closes garages, and all that good stuff. I have a scene called Goodnight. So Goodnight, the Goodnight scene will run all shades closed. It'll run another scene inside of this scene. So we run all shades closed. I turn off all the lights in the house. We lock the doors. You know, if the garage doors were left open, it'll check that and close those doors. You know, it runs every night at 11 o'clock. We're typically in bed between 9 and 10 p.m. So runs at 11 o'clock. What's nice though is this scene can be run through, because it's included in the Amazon Alexa interface or integration. When we go to bed, say we're going to go to bed at 9 o'clock, the scene will run automatically at 11 p.m. on its own, but we're going to bed at 9 o'clock. We can walk up to the Alexa device and say, Alexa, good night. And the device says, you know, good night. Or then all of a sudden, shades close, lights go off, doors are locked, garages are closed. You know, so that's part of what we integrated these roller shades into. So that's about it. I just kind of wanted to put this together rather, I mean, this is fairly quick in regards to what it really takes to put this together. And again, I think the biggest thing to help someone will be if I include this link in the description below, because I do believe that's what I used to go through and set this up. So if you're looking to set up roller shades that are automated, you know, automated to your home controller system, if you're using anything that's Z-Wave, I don't want to state you have to have a Vera device, but if you're using a home controller system that's Z-Wave controllable, using this Somfy, these Somfy systems, I'll show you what they actually look like. The ZRTSI device looks like. So this is the Somfy ZRTSI. So 16 channel. So you can have up to 16 roller shades in this configuration here. And again, this is where you're kind of doing some of the programming through these buttons in the screen here. So it enables Z-Wave control for RTS motors. The thing to take into consideration as well is this has to be within 25 to 35 feet of the roller shades. So if you're going further than that, you're going to have to get another ZRTSI controller and put it, you know, maybe at the front of the house or further away from, you know, where the one is that's controlling those devices. But this is the device that I use. Here it is again off Somfy's website, Z-Wave to radio technology Somfy interface. So, and then here's I'll probably link to this too as well in the description. And again, the reason I'm doing this video is when I did my roller shades, I mean, before I bought them, I would go to all these different forums and say, you know, how can you set up shades to work with Vera? And, you know, I found some articles and some information, but it just wasn't really enough to get me to where I wanted it, you know, to be. So doing it, having done it, and having it set up, and again, like if I go down to the office room shade right here, and I click open. Actually, you know what? Let me turn on this other camera. And there's my shade. If I click open right here inside of the program, it says sending command, success, transmit was okay. So that shade is now opening. The only thing I don't like about the Somfy motors is they're a little bit noisy. I've heard other roller shades that they hardly make any noise at all. So that was one of my main complaints with these Somfy motorized roller shades, is they are a little bit noisy when they open and close. It'd be nice to have a near silent motor, like say in your master bedroom, where you've got you know, a scene where they open automatically at, you know, 6:37 a.m. But when they open, it's not an alarm clock, you know, where they just nice and quietly open up and maybe the sun's coming in. That would be kind of cool. But, you know, these things in our master bedroom, when you have 3 shades and you tell them all to open, it's going to wake you up. So, but that's the extent of it. I don't think I can add any more to it than what I've done. So I hope this video is helpful for anybody that's trying to set up automated shades. One other way to do it, and for me, I like to have everything that I do for home automation in one system. I don't like a whole bunch of different little pieces where I need a different app on my phone to control this and another app to control that. And home automations become so easy with the Internet of Things. Everything is Internet attached in this day and age. So it's super easy to go out and buy the Nest thermostat and hook it up to your home Wi-Fi network and then be able to control your thermostat from anywhere. So I do have a Nest thermostat. And again, the devices we have, though, I can integrate them. This works with Nest. So I integrate those components into my Vera controller. So I'm still managing those devices. We can use the Nest app, but I can also control it through the Vera controller. So one thing to simplify, if you want automatic roller shades or shutters in your house, is buy shades that, I think the Hunter Douglas ones, buy ones that are already integrated into Alexa. They have some that you can literally put them up, and if you've got the Alexa app, include that into that and you're done. So, and then you can tell Alexa, open up kitchen shades. So a lot simpler process to get that home automation of your shades, but again, it's not then integrated into your main home control system. So if you're like me and you want everything in your main home control system, you'd have to use something that supports Z-Wave technology. And that's why I went with Somfy, because that's what the manufacturer or the supplier, the installer, that's what they provided to us, or what we purchased. So anyway, I hope my video was helpful for any of those out there lost trying to set up roller shades via Z-Wave into a Z-Wave home control system. Again, if you have some time, click that link in the description below, because that'll go over a lot more of the actual steps that you have to go through on the device itself to include those into your system. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and press the subscribe button so you can subscribe to my channel. So when I add more videos, you will be notified when you have to click the bell. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you later.